I saw my future in a picture. Let me explain. It was summer vacation. My family and I decided to take a trip to India. When we were there, we decided to take one big grand picture of our family from all across India. I was the person who actually took the pictures. I set the timer, I ran back to the picture, and double-checked to see how it looked. Originally, I looked at it, I was like, okay, everything's fine. Everyone's smiling, no blinking, that's fine. But then I slowly looked a little bit higher, and I noticed something a little off. Most of the men in my family are bald. And this got me thinking, would I have to be one of these bald men in my family? Or could I change that in some way? This is what led me into researching the topic of male pattern baldness. So what is male pattern baldness? Well, male pattern baldness is a condition that affects most people at some point in their lives, specifically men, and is usually considered thinning of the hair as you get older. Now, what causes male pattern baldness? Well, there's one main thing, and that is genetics. A study done by PLOS Genetics stated that over 287 variations were linked to male pattern baldness. One in particular, called the AR gene, was crucial in the growth of hair. And this was done through the controlling of a hormone called DHT. Essentially, DHT allows for the hair, controls that growing of the hair. Now that you know one of the main causes, what are some of the effects of male pattern baldness? Besides the obvious thinning of the hair, there are also some psychological effects to it. Studies have shown that male pattern baldness has increased levels of stress in individuals compared to men who don't actually have male pattern baldness. Now, at surface level, this doesn't really seem like that big of a deal. However, at higher levels of stress, people are more likely to develop certain disorders, including chronic depression, and can even lead to things like suicide. Now that you know some of the cause and effects, you guys might be thinking, okay, pretty straightforward. There's probably no way anyone can mess up this stuff. Well, you'd be wrong. There have been several myths spread all across the internet, and there are several reasons for that. One of the main reasons is that male pattern baldness hasn't been researched as much as many other diseases due to its link to genetics. Another reason is that many companies are trying to sell you products that aren't exactly medically proven. Now that you know some of the causes, effects, and some of the myths, what are some of the treatments that we have out today? Well, the main one that we have today is something called minoxidil. It's a medication that allows more blood to actually go to your hair, allowing for more hair to actually grow. In 92% of all cases, minoxidil has shown a positive impact on hair growth. Another treatment that might be available to more people in the near future is something called hair stem cell therapy. Now, stem cells are essentially cells that don't really know what they want to be. They don't know if they want to be a heart cell, a lung cell, a hair cell. They just don't know. Scientists are trying to figure out a way to tell these stem cells to become hair cells and actually allow for hair to grow like normal. Once these cells are done, they are put into the scalp and actually allow for hair to grow just like normal. However, there have been some conflicts. For example, some newer cases have shown that this therapy has caused things like tumors to actually grow, and it still hasn't been approved by the FDA. Now that you know some of the causes, effects, myths, and treatments to male pattern baldness, what is the takeaway? Well, the takeaway is this. If you want to be bald, be bald. If you want to keep your hair, keep your hair. It's your choice. We have enough treatments out today that you can actually decide what you want to be. But to people who are afraid of male pattern baldness or have it right now, don't worry. It's a natural process that occurs to most people at some point in their lives.